Playgrounds and amusement parks very often have miniature trains for people to ride on. There are also many private clubs where people run their own miniature trains. But if you're like me, you've probably wondered at some point, why do miniature railways exist? Well, their history is actually pretty interesting, and it goes back much farther than you might think. And I'll tell you all about it on this episode of Railroads Explained.
Train, train, train. I've got a thing about trains.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Railroads Explained. I'm Tim the Train Guy, and today we're talking about miniature railways. Miniature or minimum gauge railways are generally considered anything where the track gauge is less than 2 feet wide. However, what makes them different from model trains is the fact that, well, simply, they're big enough for people to ride on. Generally, in the present day, you only see miniature railways in parks or in private live steam clubs. However, some, like the Romney Hythe and Dymchurch Railway in England, were, at least at one point, built for an actual commercial purpose. One of the earliest examples of a miniature railway dates as far back as 1874. It was known as the Duffield Bank Railway, built by Sir Arthur Percival Heywood on his estate in Derbyshire. However, this initial outing was to showcase their potential for industrial and even military uses. In the United States, the Arizona Copper Company ran a 20-inch gauge railway from 1879 until 1932, which I may have made an entire video about. But for the sake of this one, we're just going to move on. In the present day, most miniature railroads exist purely for recreational purposes, either in parks or, as previously mentioned, in private clubs. While you often see live steam versions of these miniature trains, it is not uncommon to also see ones that are powered by gas or diesel engines, as well as batteries. There are a number of manufacturers who sell locomotives ready to run. However, those who so desire can purchase parts and blueprints to build the locomotive themselves. One historic builder of such locomotives is the Cagney Brothers Miniature Railway Company. They're most famous because the Strasburg Railroad has one of their locomotives regularly operate running trains through their depot. In addition to being present in public parks, there are many miniature railway clubs throughout the world, the largest of which being the Train Mountain Railroad in Chaloquin, Oregon, USA, which in 2004 was recognized by the Guinness Book of World Records as the longest miniature railroad in the world, coming in at a total of 13.24 miles or 21.3 kilometers of 7.5-inch gauge track. Even in the absence of such impressive feats, though, miniature railroads, let's be real, they're just fun, and I'm sure many of you watching have probably ridden on one at some point, either as a kid or with your own kids. Anyway, that's all I have for this video. As always, thank you all for watching. I'm Tim the Train Guy, and bye for now.